the more the person is connected to their rabbi, the more they're going to ask themselves, no, what else can I see from this situation? Or what else can I learn from this situation? But it would actually be, what would my rabbi say about this situation? How would he look at it? What would he say? And many times when you meet Talmidei Chachamim, you see them answering in the words of their rabbi, where something is at hand, and say, oh, Rabbi such and such would say this about this. How do they know? Because they have read and have learned his work so much, they already know his response to these particular things. Not from guessing, but actual realization that this is what he answered in such and such book, or in such and such lecture, and this is what he said in such and such article. This is the answer to this. Literally, the rabbi has become their mind. And the more a person has become one with the teachings of his rabbi, the more they know what the rabbi is going to deal with. So showing a world of difference between a person that's, let's say, watching the occasional shiur or reading the occasional book, but this rabbi is part of a whole slew of rabbi this season. Every season they have a different lineup of rabbis. Like, sports teams have a different lineup of players. They change on the off season. This guy changes his rabbis on the off season. This season he's with Rabbi A, B, and C. Next season, 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, only A made it up to the starting lineup. B, C, and E is no longer. He replaced them with Z, F, and W, and so on and so forth. A person like this is not only a person that does not have the ability to be a Talmid Chacham, but it actually exemplifies how they have a bad eye. Why does that exemplify they have a bad eye? Because if he was a good student, he would realize that his rabbi, if he's a real rabbi, if he's learning every day, not just sometimes, if he's learning every single day, that means that this rabbi is growing every single day, a little bit more than he was the day before. And every one of his shiurim is growing a little bit more than the one before. If he has the right mindset and the right eye on things, he'll say, wait a minute, just like he's growing, his students will be growing. I want to be one of those students, not just based on his current knowledge, but based on the knowledge he'll have tomorrow and next week and a year later and 10 years later, because you see that this person dedicates themselves to learning Torah, and you have already a positive mindset of how this person is going to grow, how this rabbi is going to grow, and you want to grow with him. Not you want to grow on your own because you figure maybe you can pass him. This is actually one of the things that you also see with old-timers that are Talmidei Chachamim. Many times you ask these people, how did they get started? Who is your rabbi? And many times you'll see, oh yeah, my rabbi is Rav Ovadia. Oh wow, you were at Kollel, you were at Yeshiva with Rav Ovadia? He goes, no, I was a plumber. Wait, you were a plumber and today you're a Talmid Chacham? How did that happen? Well, simple. I went to a shiur. In the beginning I didn't understand much. Little by little I kept going. He gave us tests once in a while. He asked us questions. He got us involved. The more we were dedicated, the more he was dedicated to us. I tried to attend every shiur that he had, even if he went across the country. Wherever he went, I went. And little by little, I started gaining knowledge. And after 10, 20, 30, 40 years, Baruch Hashem, I know a few things. Who else did you listen to? Who else did you attend? More times than not, they'll tell you nobody else. Not because there was nobody else that was good or nobody else that was smart. Simple. I found my home. This is what I want. And they didn't know they're going to grow with him and become Talmidei Chachamim. They just knew this is good for me. This is addressing my current spiritual sickness. Why do I need to go look elsewhere? And without even realizing it, they got the blessing from Shamayim to actually not only cure the current spiritual sickness they have that they know about, but the ones that they didn't even know they had to address. And even more so in the process became actual real Torah scholars with kids that are Torah scholars. How? They grew with the rabbi. They stuck to the teachings and they realized with their simple mind that this is good for me, I'm going to continue. This is good for me, I'm going to continue. This is good for me, I'm going to continue. And by default, they grew with the rabbi. The rabbi's shiurim continued being new. Each time was a new shiur. Their knowledge was more. But also their neshama became literally cleaved to, a glue to the rabbis. And they became literally Talmidei Chachamim from sticking to a solid plan. Because they had a positive eye on the way things are, that was not just looking at things from just their own perspective. When a person tries to swallow the whole world at once, they want to learn everything all in one day. They want to learn from everyone in one day. This is a person that will end up amounting to nothing. And this is very common among people that are like whatever. I don't want to describe it so people start becoming offended, but it's very, very common, unfortunately, especially in the internet age, where it's as easy as a click of a button to pick yourself a new rabbi, and very, very few people are actually becoming Talmidei Chachamim. Very few people are becoming wiser for it. They may have a little bit more information. They may have a little bit more things to say here and there, but generally speaking, you can tell who the rabbi is by the words that are coming out of the students. There are certain people that I know within 30 seconds, I know who they learned from. I know who they learned from. If it's rabbis that I'm familiar with, I know who they learned from. But I also know that they're not really the rabbi student. They just watch the rabbi shiurim. If they're the rabbi student, they speak differently. If they just watch the shiurim, they also speak differently. It's something that is you get with experience. But many times people fool themselves thinking that I'm such and such as a student. In reality, you may think you're a student, but you're not. Because if you were, your speech would be different. Your mind would be different. Your dedication would be different. Everything would be different. Now, you may be a good fan. You may be a supporter. You may be a nice person. I'm not saying anything bad about the person. But to be a student requires a little bit more than that. And we see from people that are students of Rav Ovadia or any other Chachamim, that they have real students over many years, you see that they speak as if the rabbi is there. I've met a few students of Rav Avigdor Miller. You see how they speak as if Rav Avigdor Miller is here. A few students of Rav Ovadia. You see as they speak, it's like Rav Ovadia is here. All types of unique people that you meet them, they look like common people, regular people. Some are rabbis, some are regular average people. But when they answer you about something that's Torah related or just life in general, they speak as if the rabbi is here. Why? They just simply decided, this is it. He's not my rabbi. I'm his student. Being the student took priority. More so than him being the rabbi took the priority. Of course, the rabbi came along with it, but the point being is that they looked at things in a certain way. So when a person wants to become that good student, this good eye is not just related to the rabbi per se, that he should be optimistic and teach you things in such a way where you'll have the courage to keep going and not give up, and to look at the world as much bigger than what you see it as, and so on. But the student himself also has to realize that they have to have a good eye. They have to have a good eye where the way that they see the rabbi. The rabbi is this, but he's going to grow. Just like I'm growing, he's growing. And there's really, if I see what he has now is good, then surely what he's going to have in 6 months is even going to be better. In a year it's going to be better. In 2 years it's going to be better. Meaning it behooves me to stick to this as much as I possibly can, invest into this as much of myself as I possibly can in order to get the most amount that I can get out of it. Because if I look at it from the right perspective, if I'm dedicated to this one good source, that means that I'm going to get a lot more out of it if I'm dedicated to it, rather than if I'm going to, let's say, delve into different things every few months. This few months I'm going to be in Rabbi A, a few months later I'm going to learn from Rabbi B, a few months later I'm going to learn from Rabbi C. And yes, you may get different ideas, but you'll become the student of nobody. You'll become your own rabbi, your own student, your own nothing, and in essence, in reality, a nobody. You'll never become a Talmid Chacham.